What's up, Honors World Literature? It's me, Coach Hall, here back with you today again to talk about chapter 50. I did this chapter earlier in about a 17-minute video because it's such a lengthy chapter. And I don't know what happened to the file. Maybe my computer ran out of memory because I was talking so much. I don't know. I tried to upload it to YouTube. It didn't work. I got frustrated and decided I wasn't going to do a video today because that was 17 minutes just wasted. And I was just going to do 2 chapters tomorrow, but that would be like a 30-minute video if I did both chapters in one day. So after some thought, lunch, running, getting cleaned up, I decided, okay, I guess I better do it. So I'll try not to take as long. This is just such a dense chapter. It's chapter 50, and it's actually one of my favorite chapters. Maybe it has at least probably my top 1 or top 2 favorite moments from the book in it. I'm going to try to not make this 17 minutes, so I apologize if I'm skimming through this too much. But basically, life in Nuri for Layla and Tariq and their family is of comfort and tranquility. That's what the opening line is. However, it's not home. And I disagree with Layla on this because if I were Tariq, I would want to stay. I would want to stay in. Sorry, my hair's wet here. I'd want to stay in Muri forever. It's a cool town. If you go to Google and go to Google Images for Muri, Pakistan, you'll see it has people on ski lifts in a cool little downtown area, and it's surrounded by mountains. It's just a cool little place. It's a great place to raise a family for them in this situation, given what was going on in Kabul, but it's not home. And the spirit of Mariam is back there. The spirit of Mami and Bobby, especially, mentions Bobby, and they have to go. They have to go back. And Tariq, to his credit, is going to do this because he loves Layla, and he feels like he would go with her anywhere, he says. But he knows that this means a lot to her. First, though, they're going to make a detour. They're going to go to Herat, which is an interesting choice. Layla has never been to Herat, nor has Tariq that we know of, nor either of the kids. However, you may recall that Herat, specifically the little town outside of it, Gul Daman, is the hometown of Mariam. We are looking for closure, and we're going to get to that in a second. What closure is all about. Tariq, Zalmai, and Aziza, you guys go to the market, buy toys for the kids. You guys have a good time here exploring Herat. It's a new town for them, and it's a cool little city. Herat is. It's probably in bad shape here because of the war and the Taliban, but it's still it was enough. It was far enough away from Kabul to where it wasn't ravaged. In fact, even Mullah Fazula's son is still there. Mullah Fazullah has since passed. He was an old man like 30 years ago, and or longer. He was an old man decades ago, and so he has since passed. Although they do mention that he outlived Jalil. Jalil died in 1987. Anyway, his son is still living there though, Mullah Fazullah's, and so it's kind of cool. Mariam's daughter, basically, I mean, that's what they talk about. Layla is catching up with Mullah Fazullah's son, and they kind of have this special connection. Layla does have to break the news that Mariam has died. It's a difficult conversation to have because Mariam was so beloved by Mullah Fazullah, and his heart was broken when he found out what had happened to her. Remember, he didn't know anything about the marriage to Rashid until Mariam had left. long story short, Lila wants to go where Mariam grew up, and she wants to go to the Kolba because she heard the stories about it. She wants to see it with her own two eyes. I need to see where Mariam came from. It's almost like, I guess the older you get, and you guys may not understand this just yet, but the older you get, you almost want to kind of go back to where you came from a little bit and kind of get a better sense of who you are by connecting with like your roots, so to speak. And for Lila, this is her roots. She has no blood connection. She's not a blood relative of Mariam, but that doesn't matter. We've talked about that before. That does not matter because the bond that they had was way more powerful than just a simple blood connection. Remember, she was blood related to Jalil too, and we saw how that worked out. So clearly, it means a lot for Lila to be there, and Mullah Fazula's son takes her, Lila, to the Kolba, and man, we get to see it. Now, I love this too because he's like, you know what? The driver's waiting. You take your time, sit in there as long as you need to sit in there. Connect with whatever you want to connect. You can tell that this man is Mullah Fazula's son. He's very wise, I think. He's also very patient, and he's also very understanding of why Lila needs to be here, how you need to go in on your own, and you take all the time you need, which I like. I like to not feel rushed. And man, she sees it. It's a little dilapidated, but there's still, the walls are still there. The door was gone. There was no chicken coop or anything like that, but the structure of the Kolba was still there. It was still enough for her to walk in and see the rooms. And man, the floorboards. She can't imagine that two people, one person lived there. But 15 years. 15 years Mariam lived in this place. From the moment she was born, it seems. From the moment she was born all the way to that day she crossed the stream and went into Herat. She lived in this place and with another person, and it gives us a sense of who Mariam was. This is a tough chapter to read because we feel, it's not that she feels bad for Mariam that she had to grow up here, but she got a better sense of who Mariam was based off these surroundings. And the story she talks about with Nana and wanting to go and find Jalil and the wedding to Rashid and all that stuff that had happened to her. And man, no wonder that even at the very end, Mariam was tough. She endured. She wasn't able to be broken because, man, she grew up here. And in a cool part of the book, she has this kind of vision almost. She sits and she looks, and it's almost like she's having this spiritual moment here in the Kolba, and she kind of looks, and call it a vision, call it a daydream, call it whatever you like, but you see that she looks off into the kitchen and she sees a young, hey, you good? Okay, hold on, I'm going to pause it for a second. Apologies, that was my 7-year-old coming down into the kitchen to get a snack. So how about that? That's kind of weird. So Lila has this vision of Mariam off in the kitchen, sweeping up, and she's there with her mom. And man, it's almost like a look into the afterlife. We don't know what this means, but Lila at least gets a feeling that that Mariam is in a better place now than she was. So say what you want about the afterlife, say what you want about your religious beliefs, but I believe that we go, based off our life, that we go to a couple of different places in the afterlife, and that Mariam lived the kind of life where she probably did go to a good place when she passed. And Mariam looks up and sees Lila sitting there, supposedly. He says, "Lila, Joe," and all of a sudden Lila kind of, she's back in the present. Our eyes snap open. Whoa, man, I just had a moment there, almost like a vision, a dream. And before she leaves the clearing, Lila takes one last look at the Kolba where Mariam had slept, eaten, dreamed, held her breath for Jalil. On sagging walls, the willows cast crooked patterns that shift with each gust of wind. A crow had landed on the flat roof. It pecks at something, squawks, and flies off. And she's able to kind of look at this Kolba, and she says, you know, sorry, I'm joined now by my 4-year-old and my 7-year-old here. She gets that closure with Mariam, and it was an important moment for her. She's able to say a real goodbye to her, because the goodbye that she had in Kabul that day when she goes around the corner to go get Aziza at the orphanage, it left Lila very, very sad, and there was something that we get the sense that she's never really able to get over. I wouldn't if I were her. And so she needed to kind of go and connect with Mariam and have that moment at her place. Okay, last thing I want to talk about is this box. It turns out that Mullah Fazullah had given this box to his son, and he says to his son, he says, if Mariam ever comes here, this is from Jalil. I haven't opened it. Mullah Fazullah didn't know what was in it. He didn't tell his son what was in it. But he has this box waiting for Mariam. And the box is from Jalil, her father, before he passed. May 13th, 1987, Jalil writes this letter that's in the box. Lila gets it and doesn't know what to do with it, but it's appropriate that Lila gets this box. It's appropriate that Lila gets this box. This is almost kind of like her inheritance from Mariam, I guess you can say. The box is for Mariam. Mariam has died. Lila, is her daughter, deserves it. And in the box are 3 things. Number 1 is a VHS tape. That's right, for like a VCR. I know that's outdated technology for you, but trust me, there used to be these tapes. You could put it in the VCR, you could press play, and it would play the tape, and you could watch it. And the film is Pinocchio. I like this here because that's the movie that Jalil was supposed to take her to the day she ran away. Jalil never, of course, did that. So Jalil gives her a VHS of Pinocchio for her to see. This means nothing to Lila, and that's why I like it, because it's not for Lila. It's for us, the reader. We needed that, and it's kind of a cool nod to us. The second thing is this letter from Jalil. The letter is very difficult to read for me. It's very emotional. He just is really regretful of how he handled. He is filled with regret here as he is dying. One of his wives was killed, and I think another one of his sons was also killed, and some of his family have been killed in this civil war here in Afghanistan during the 80s with the Soviets, and he just is this withering old man here at the end. And he doesn't blame Mariam for not letting him in, but his dying wish is for Mariam to come visit him before he dies, and we know that she doesn't, and so that's really sad. But we can only hope that a person like Mariam and a person like Jalil were reconnected eventually in the afterlife, and that's called faith, by the way. And anyway, he has a little bit of money left, despite some of these deaths and despite him losing his riches during the Civil War and the communists took over. He has a little bit of money left, and he doesn't have a lot of family left. So it's far from a fortune, he says, but it is something. It's something. This is all I can do for you. It doesn't make up for what I've done. That's what he says. This isn't hush money. You can't buy Mariam's affection back. But again, that's not really for us to decide anymore anyway, because Jalil has passed, as has Mariam. So we can't do anything about that. All Lila can do is take this money and do something with it. And that's what chapter 51 is going to be about. It's a great letter. If you haven't read this chapter yet, please pay careful attention to 405, 406, and part of 407. It's a really beautiful letter from Jalil to Mariam, and he says all the things he needed to say. And so we, the reader, get a little bit of closure in that as well. He wishes happiness for Mariam, and even though she really never got that, she didn't get the house full of children, she didn't get the happy marriage that I think but it's almost better. Disagree with me if you want to, but I think it's better that Jalil never found out what was going on there. He didn't need, religiously, I don't think he was going to rescue her from that, from Rashid. It's like once he has married off his daughter, I'm not sure how much he could. I'm not sure what he could have done about that. So I'm not sure he needed that extra weight on him in his dying days. That Mariam was so abused and so unhappy, and she didn't have any of the children, and she didn't get. But it's okay because Mariam did have Lila and Aziza, and she was able to kill their tormentor and save them, and then literally provide passage for them by taking the heat for Rashid's death. Lila and Aziza and Tariq and Zalmai, they were able to leave Afghanistan because there was no implication for them that they had anything to do with Rashid's death. And so Mariam needed that. And so in the end, in a way, that wish for Mariam is fulfilled. So chapter 51 is the last chapter. I hope this video works, despite my kids talking it up in the background. But hey, you know what? That's what quarantine life is all about, right? We're all in this together. We're all in the same house together all day, every day. So you gotta love it. You gotta have patience with it. Anyway, I'm at 16:30 now. I don't know if this video was better or worse than my last one. We'll say it's better. You guys don't need to see the other one. This one was way better. This one, I'm glad that happened. Do it over again. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, chapter 51, and then we'll talk again on Friday about what's next. I think we're only about 2 weeks away from the whole semester being over with, and then off you'll go to your junior year, some of you. Anyway, talk to you soon. I hope you guys are well. Yeah, bye.